Now put your hands together for nationally acclaimed poet from San Jose, California via Guerrero, Mexico. Welcome Yosimar Reyes.
Buenos días, good morning, how's everybody doing? Ojalá que el frío de San Francisco woke you up. Sigo yo, my name is Yosimar Reyes, I'm a poet, I'm a writer, I'm based out of San Jose, California, pero originalmente del estado de Guerrero, Mexico. Shout out to el coyote that brought me here. Estoy muy emocionado to be opening up for you. I have two poems for you that I will be doing to start this off. I'm very grateful for the folks that invited me to come open this conference and hopefully with buena energía. Again, I came to the United States when I was 3 years old. I'm a DACA beneficiary. I have DACA, Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals. You know what? Sometimes I like to tell people I have DACA when I forget I have an accomplishment because people think I got an award, but like a certificate. Like, I got DACA. But I think one of the biggest things in the conversations that we're having for the past 20 years, right? DACA right now is like a legal age to drink. So now, like, oh my God, we've been waiting for DACA, girl. We got to date other bills. Okay. But I want to start off with this poem. I take care of my abuelita. I'm also a caretaker. Shout out to our abuelas who we do this work for. So I wrote this piece, it's called Caldo de Pollo, and I wrote it thinking of my abuela who, you know, one of the beautiful things I went to San Francisco State, I was an English major, and I always tell people that one of the beautiful things about being an English major in college, actually having some kind of cultural wealth, is that people act shocked about your lived experiences, and you can tell them like, oh my God, it's a work of fiction, when it's really just a diary entry. So this is Caldo de Pollo, a work of fiction. Mama Doña wants apoyo, pero no de la tienda, no foster farm gallina. She wants como los de México, de rancho, sin hormones, sin steroids. Métete a Google y busca. We find a señor que tiene un rancho outside of the city. Llámale a tu tía para que nos dé un raite. In a van, we drive to a casa, escoge la que le gusta, dice el señor. Mama Doña picks a brown gallina, la pobre no sabe que Mama Doña wants to make her into a caldo, wants to add herbs y recaudos in the broth, remember Mexico. We drive back to the east side, la gallina dentro de una caja. In our apartment, Mama Doña dice, está muy flaca. She builds a cage out of laundry baskets and for weeks feeds her. La gallina gorda corre through our living room como si fuera un perrito. Judgment Day comes and Mama Doña, like God, calls upon the brown gallina. In Mexico, you kill chickens by breaking their necks. You grab the head and you swing it in circles until it disconnects. Mama Doña carries these lessons in la sangre. She wants her caldo, wants to remember what it was like to be in her pueblo. Mama Doña, we are not in Mexico anymore. Gallinas have rights here, I tell her. You can go to jail. Unafraid and drunk off nostalgia, Mama Doña continues her ritual. She lifts the brown gallina. The time has come for its execution. Where is Peter when you need him the most? La gallina, as if pleading for her life, locks eyes with Mama Doña. In them, Mama Doña sees herself. Una pobre gallina enjaulada, una pobre gallina en tierra ajena. No la puedo matar, Mama Doña whispers. She places la gallina in the back in the laundry basket. A light bulb erupts. Tu tía, ella no tiene corazón, ella la puede matar. Abuela, like the girl she sees in the movies with their dogs inside their purses, places la gallina inside her purse. She runs out and catches the bus and rides the 25 to my tía's house. Mi tía is babysitting mi sobrina. En la sala, the baby is watching Finding Nemo. Mama Doña offers la gallina as my tía is about to snap its neck. Mi sobrina llora. No, animals are friends, not food. La gallina escaped death once again. Her eyes bulge with victory. Tia calls her comadre, who always lends her backyards for carne asadas or parties. Te voy a regalar una gallina. The brown fat gallina corre por la yarda. They bought her a rooster y ahora tiene una familia. She now guilt trips her chicks with triumphant, traumatic immigrant story. Todo por un pollo. And lastly but not least, I think one of the biggest things, and I'm happy that you are all here and amazing for the work that you're doing to support our communities. I think oftentimes, especially as immigrants, as migrants, as second generation, first generation, sometimes it's very difficult to keep your confidence up. And so one of the things that I started doing, right, instead of telling my story as an undocumented immigrant to persuade people to vote, honestly, if you don't like immigrants, see a clinician because I can't do nothing for you. But for me, it's more like, how do we start writing love poems to the people that need them? How do we take care of our own? And that's what I started doing. My story is to empower other folks who are similar like me, sometimes make themselves small in order to make other people feel comfortable. So I wrote this poem, a poem so the weight of this country does not crush you. To all my undocumented girls, here we go. A poem so the weight of this country does not crush you. Some days you may wake up sad. Some days you may wake up frustrated. Some days you may wake up tired. Some days you may wonder if it's worth it. Some days you may question your own growth. Some days you may think how immense the world is to be caged in this country, to be subjugated to this abuse. Some days you just want to breathe, and baby, I'm here to remind you to sit in those moments, to sit in that whirlpool, but just know there are people like me picking up the load when you can't. There are people like me pushing so the weight of this country does not crush you, and there are people like you who will fight when I can't, and we will take turns pushing against these walls. I got your back, and you got mine. In the scheme of things, does anything else matter? Even if our fight isn't fruitful, we will depart with our dignity intact. We'll depart knowing that this country is losing a prized possession. This country is losing the gift of our resilience. We will watch them as they tear into each other's skins, and we'll thank the heavens we never became beasts like them. Muchas gracias. Enjoy the rest of the conference. Un placer estar aquí con ustedes. Thank you.
Thank you, Yosimar. HIP now welcomes the American Indian Cultural District of San Francisco, a descendant of the Association of the Ramaytush Ohlone, Paloma Flores.
Satsulaya. Thank you. Welcome. I'm going to share a little bit about the land acknowledgement. A land acknowledgement is only as good as what it means to you. My name is Paloma Flores. I'm here proudly representing Pit River Nation, Atsuge Madesi Band of Northern California, as well as the Purépecha Nation of Michoacán, Mexico, on my father's side. Very happy to be here on behalf of the Association of the Ramaytush Ohlone. This is Yelamu, the original name of San Francisco. We are on unceded land, and we're acknowledging that this is the ancestral home of the Ramaytush Ohlone, who are the original inhabitants of the San Francisco Peninsula. As the indigenous stewards of this land, and in accordance with their traditions, the Ramaytush Ohlone have never ceded, lost, nor forgotten their responsibilities as caretakers of this land. In going beyond the land acknowledgement, it means being action-oriented. We ask, as the people of these lands, that you look for ways to support, honor, and recognize the original people, first people of the land, or wherever you may be coming from. To support them by building meaningful partnerships, support their community-driven initiatives, and prioritize their voice and leadership. We've always been here. You, all of you, wherever you are of versus from, you've always been here as a part of Turtle Island, as a part of the Americas, as a part of this entire world. I offer you, from my own language, from Pit River Isawi, a few songs, just one, they're timing me. In translation, the song is, I'm just a human being connected with the great, here standing with a good heart. Good heart, tu sadache. Hayan ho, 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 hayan ho. Hey, we see Takari Hatachi Hayan ho, hayan ho, hayan ho, hayan ho, hayan ho, hayan ho, hayan ho. Here we see Takari Hatachi Hayan ho, hayan ho, hayan ho, hayan ho, hayan ho. The song is older than time, just like all of you. The blood that's in your veins brought you to this moment today. We thank you for acknowledging the people. We thank you for acknowledging yourself, the good heart that you all carry. Remember your why. Invest in today. Be good to yourselves. Sulaya Tolodakam. Thank you, relatives. Enjoy the conference.
Thank you, Paloma. She is guiding the organization with a bold vision to usher in a new generation of philanthropy. Please welcome the President and CEO of Hispanics in Philanthropy, Marie Argilagos.
Buenos dias. A big round of applause for Yosimar. Amazing. Paloma, her beautiful words, and a song that is older than time. What better way than to ground our conversations and starting with those words. Thank you, Paloma. And happy Pride. We're excited to do this in June. And I have to take a moment to just look around because it was 5 years ago. You know, it's HIP's 40th anniversary, but it was 5 years ago that I welcomed you all to my first conference as HIP CEO, and it was right here in San Francisco, and we're back right here to celebrate my 5th, but also to welcome you here to San Francisco for our 40th and our 2023 annual conference. Muchas gracias. I'm so inspired by all of the opportunities and the possibilities that we have, because after all, the ideas that we spark here this week won't shape just the next year of Hispanics in Philanthropy. It's going to shape a just and a thriving future for all of our communities for a very long time. Our founders, Luz Vega, Elisa Arevalo, and Herman Gallegos, they saw a persistent gap. They saw that there was a gap between the needs of Latina communities and the resources that were available to us. And from the start, our gente, we were all eager for greater representation and for spaces like the ones that we're creating here today and occupying now. And so for the better part of the past 3 decades, my predecessor, the fearless Diana Campoamor, who you're going to see in a couple minutes, brought us together and led us forward. And today our work has made an important impact. During the past 20 years, HIP has granted over $80 million, 80M, to frontline organizations doing the critical work, all of you on the ground. That's to our nonprofits. We now have our Inicio Ventures funds, and with our Inicio Ventures funds, we're investing in the infrastructure to support startup founders, to grow Latina wealth. And most importantly, we're growing our own philanthropists. We won't ask to ask anymore. It's our own people that will fund us. So that's really cool. And that's because, as our friends, is UCLA in the room? Okay. As our friends at UCLA like to say, what's the saying? All issues are Latina issues, right? All of them. So whether you're looking at food security, at climate change, at gender equity, or investing in multiracial coalitions that are building power, that's all our issues. And so at HIP, we're really proud of all of the impact that we've had, but we know that we have a lot further to do. Because even right now, in 2023, we ain't represented in the rooms where funding decisions get made. And as you've heard from us over and over and over again, only 1% of funding from US foundations go to Latino-serving nonprofits. So, what are we gonna do? What are we gonna do? We're gonna keep repeating it, right? Over and over again, this 1% number until it's no longer true. The consequences of this disinvestment are urgent and obvious. We see it here in the Bay Area, where gentrification and a regional housing crisis is forcing families from their longtime homes. We see it in cities. Cities are scrambling every day to take care of displaced migrants and asylum seekers, where rampant gun deaths ravage our communities. And we see it across the country because we just saw 15 million people kicked off Medicaid in April. We see it in the over 500 anti-LGBTQ bills that were proposed all across the US. And you know what? It's happening in dozens of cities all across Latin America as well. And that threatens the safety, the rights, the freedoms of LGBTQ plus people, and especially our trans siblings. And so we know that these laws, they are not just misguided. They are harmful and they are violent. Our trans community deserves our support, our love, and our respect. And it's our responsibility to protect the rights of trans kids and of their parents too. But there's something else. This is June. Besides the HIP conference, what else happens in June? Pride Month. ¿Qué más, gente? And we also have Supreme Court decisions coming down the pike in June. Sometimes they're good, and sometimes they're really bad. And I'm really scared because coming any day now, we await the Supreme Court decision that challenges the constitutionality of using race as a consideration in higher education. In higher education doesn't sound bad, right? Could be worse. But don't be fooled. This attack on affirmative action is not only limited to higher education. It will have a wider impact and it will influence all of our work. These are reflections of systemic problems and they're connected by a fundamental threat to democracy itself. Authoritarians are driving these attacks. It's a zero-sum game, and it's designed from the start, designed for us to lose. And I want you all to understand, this is very, very, very dangerous. This decision has the potential to have a chilling effect on philanthropy and how we work. This means who and what we give to. So, yes, we are witnessing in real time the deliberate and organized dismantling of rights that were won decades ago. And if we want change, we must confront these broader and deeper challenges. We must be creative, I don't know if you all know Audre Lorde. She's one of my favorites, so I'm going to quote her. You cannot dismantle the master's house without the master's tools. And so we must be defiant and united in the face of these challenges because it's all connected. You can't separate comunidad from humanidad. But not everyone agrees, and under the guise of philanthropic pluralism, you might be reading the articles out there, some in philanthropy insist that giving in and of itself is a kind of innate good. They are pushing back against the scrutiny of who and what we give to. So I'll share another quote, this one from Change Philanthropy Partners. I'm proud to be part of the coalition, and I hope you stopped by the happy hour yesterday. But the quote that they put out recently was really powerful, and it's, "Too many well-intentioned philanthropic colleagues are more afraid for and protective of their own survival than that of their grantee partners. Yet, the real threat to any level of public trust in philanthropy comes not from communities and not from Congress, but the sector's own trepidation in ceding its own privilege, power, and influence in the service of justice." So thank you, Change, for that quote. It's really powerful. And we all know better. HIP knows better. We know that you cannot disconnect. You can't disconnect the means from the ends, and you can't disconnect cause from effect. And so we must reject the moral equivalence of a philanthropy that appears to support our communities, and in the same breath, it legitimizes funding our persecutors and white supremacists. We cannot allow that. And so I want to lift up instead the words of my friend Crystal Haling, the Libra Foundation. Libra Foundation in the house, yeah. Amazing. She says, "Taking a stand for what is right, by definition, excludes being on the same team as those who champion wrongdoing." So I ask you, let's renounce a sector that regards its own existence as more important than the problems that it intends to solve. Instead, let's double down, gente. Let's double down, work together for a more creative, just, and inclusive philanthropy, one that reckons with institutional power imbalances, one that fights against hate, one that puts resources back into communities, which is where they belong, a philanthropy that is foundationally committed to Asian, Indigenous, Black, and Brown liberation, to gender justice, and to LGBTQ+ equality, a philanthropy that insists on a level playing field, representative leadership, decisions that always, always, always center the needs of our communities. Someday, hopefully in our lifetime, the ultimate success will be a world maybe in which we are no longer needed, and that would be great. A world in which we have worked ourselves out of a job. But for now, the world needs us, and we need the strength of our collective corazón, of the HIP comunidad. So we invite you to build, to fund, to feel our power for the next 40 years and beyond. I'm so grateful to you for being here, our phenomenal members. You're fantastic. Every year you come, we always get inspired. I'm very grateful to our visionary board. I see our board chair there, some of our board members. Without them, we couldn't do this work. They have so much faith in this work and so much passion. Our dedicated staff, each one of them is a magician. Every day, magic happens, and I'm inspired by each and every one of them. The Palace Hotel, they make it look easy, but this is really hard to have so many of us in one space, and they're taking such good care of us. So I appreciate them, and you'll hear that over and over again. And also, this wouldn't happen without our generous conference sponsors. So there's so many of you, and you made it happen. You said yes when we called, and that's so appreciated. The Gates Foundation, yes. the California Healthcare Foundation, yes, yeah. Casey Family Programs, the Kellogg Foundation, Wells Fargo. Thank you all for making this week and this work possible. Let's give them all a big. So you'll be seeing me throughout the next couple days, but I now want you to meet some amazing women. I'm so honored to be able to call them my friends. We have Luz Vega, Diana Campoamor, and the Honorable Arabella Martinez.